I think the one thing that is a really unifying factor is a really strong sense of community that that students have as they are here at the school and then when they leave. And we see that through the connections that they maintain as alum. We see that through the connections as they kind of transition through the school. So as they leave the junior school and they sort of graduate into the upper school, those threads and those connections, I think, are that unifying factor.
I'm Agnes Stowicki, Managing Editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private and independent schools to bring you insights into school programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administration. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
The first one's easy. The first thing I absolutely love about my job are, of course, the students. That's what drove me to get into education. And I used to always say that being at a school was essentially like being young forever, because you're surrounded by this great youthful energy. And I think the thing that is most wonderful about working with young people, all the way from kindergarten and 4-year-olds right up to these young adults, so we send off into the world who are 18, is the fact that they just bring this incredible optimism and hope for the future. And it's near impossible to be grumpy or to be sort of a curmudgeon about life when you are surrounded on a daily basis with that sense of optimism and the joy and the fun that they just inject into everyday life. The other two things that I would say I love about my job are getting to work alongside just remarkable people. So whether that be the teaching faculty, whether it be our administrative support team, other leaders here at the school, there's just a real commitment to excellence, right? Nobody is ever satisfied with what they did yesterday, how they performed yesterday. So there's just this sense of constant improvement, constant inquiry into how might we do things better to improve the experience for the kids. And the final thing that I love about my job is the fact that it is different from day to day and year to year. There are no 2 days that are alike. With each new school year, we invite new students in, new faculty, and new staff. And so it is, in a lot of ways, it's like starting fresh again. So the pace of change is something I really enjoy, and it certainly never, ever gets boring. Well, when I was first joining the school, what I was actually really excited to do was to learn about how the history, I mean, Havergal is 128 years old, and so how that history translates into the experience for the students today. So really trying to get a good understanding about how our history informs what we do today, how that sense of connection throughout many generations is still felt in the school, and how that's helped shape both the ethos as well as our sense of community and our culture. So that was a lot of listening. That was a lot of exploring. I started here in the summertime, so the campus is a bit of a different pace in the summer, as you would expect. And so it was also just lots of exploration and physical exploration and walking around the school. But really that combination of this really powerful long history that the school has and trying to build my own sense of how that works itself into the day-to-day life of the college and the day-to-day experience for the students was something I was really excited about. It's a great question. And I think the reason I really love the question and thinking about the journey and the experience of a student in the school is that there's actually not one clear answer to that question. And one of the benefits of being in a school that goes from, like I said, kindergarten all the way through to grade 12, and where there are multiple entry points, is that the experience a student has, even if they do enter the school at the same age and stage, it is highly personalized. one of the other great benefits of being a larger school, so we've got over 1,000 students from kindergarten all the way through to grade 12, is that we do have that opportunity to personalize that experience. So you can have two students who certainly share an approach to learning that they're excited about and are driven, but have very different interests, very different ways and approaches to learning. And their experience through the school will be very different, unified, but personalized. And so it's a hard question to say, you know, what is that experience all the way through? And I think that that personalized and individual experience also translates to after they leave. So what is it that they're taking from their experience here at Havergal? I think the one thing that is a really unifying factor is a really strong sense of community. But the great joy of a school like ours and the breadth of program that they're allowed to and encouraged to engage in is that the journey is actually, they can personalize that journey. And so it looks different for every student. And what it means to is that, you know, you can have students from the same family who have very different interests and personalities and learning styles who can come here and find their place. For me, as news, I spent the first part of my career, a long part of my career in co-ed schools. But what I've really focused on this year and that I've really come to enjoy is the ever important role that a school that centers, in our case, on girls as learners, that role that we can play in both the advancement of girls and women across the globe, but also broader equity and inclusion initiatives. As you know, as women and as a girl-centered institution, we have been doing this work for a long time, and we've been working diligently on issues of equity and inclusion, and in our case, particularly with a lens of girls and women. But what it does is that it gives us this incredible opportunity to sort of draw the circle wide and include and to learn from, but also share our own experiences of that work with other equity deserving groups as well. So our mission as a school is really a call to action. So Havergal's mission in particular is to prepare young women to make a difference and to take on an ever-changing world with confidence and resilience and global-mindedness. And our focus as a single-gendered school allows us, I think, really the experience of having doing this work for a long time to expand and to share our learning and our understanding with other groups. So it's been a really powerful experience for me as a female leader to come into a school that is centered on that girls-centered learning experience. Well, this year, as I started here at the school, I've had an opportunity to work with our school captain Marley, and she and I, meet once a month. And as sort of the head student leader at the school, I've actually really seen her exhibit and living our school values. And our school values are inquiry, integrity, courage, and compassion. And she in all of my interactions, especially coming this year in this sort of semi-COVID year, a year where we still have lots of restrictions, she has really exhibited those. She approaches her work as a student leader and her role as a student leader with a genuine curiosity. And so taking on that kind of inquiry mindset, wondering how can we make this experience better? She has taken on a number of leadership roles, specifically as they focus on equity and inclusion and diversity initiatives, which takes a great deal of courage, right? I have watched her host large gatherings and large speaking events in which she talks about her own experience, which she challenges the community to think more critically about the way that we do things and how we do things. And so, I have been really blessed to be able to work with her. And when I got this question, I was thinking, who is someone who I see exhibiting and living the school values today? Marley came right to the top of my mind, which I also think is a testament of the work that the faculty and staff do here at the school, and that your senior student leader exhibits those school values. It's about caring and connection. I think that if you were to stop in countries around the globe, and because we are also a boarding school, we've got alum who are right across the globe. And those alum connect on the fact that they both went to Havergal. What you will see is that they will stop, they will connect, they will offer support, they will ask great questions. They're genuinely interested in their path and their journeys. And so what we're also doing is working really hard to make sure that those relationships, that ability for both formal and informal mentorship, that continues on. We've all been, experienced this sort of interruption and almost a little bit of siloing coming out of COVID, because we were physically forced to silo. And a lot of that did also cause us, maybe our worlds to shrink a little bit. And the huge benefit here is the relationship, that mentoring, that caring, and that connection that happens between our graduates and our current students. In the upper school, in particular in our senior school from grades 9 to 12, students in the past have done mixed advisor groups. So they've got students in working with one faculty advisor, but who go from grades 9 all the way through to grade 12. And that's actually where you see a ton of that mentorship happening, is in between students, right? They're keen and interested to ask, a grade 12 about course selection, or what their experience is, or how they balance their workload. And the grade 12s in turn are also really interested in passing on and sharing that knowledge. And so we also look for ways here at the school to start to develop that sense of connection between the upper school and the junior school. So there's great leadership opportunities that start. And what happens is that those relationships then continue on well beyond their time here at Havergal. So when, we land in a community somewhere, we come back for a reunion event. I was just in Boston in November, and alum who were 40 years out from their experience to alum who were first year out from their experience at Havergal came together, and to see that that connection, that offering of mutual support was really, really heartwarming to see. So in addition to what happens here at the schools, we're looking for continuing ways to foster that sense of support and connection. But it is a remarkable connection that exists, and it's one that's really deeply rooted. And you can see our graduates, when they head off out into the world, know that they have this enormous network of supporting, caring friends who are really going to reach out and to help them in the future. I think the student who is drawn to Havergal is a student who's curious, who is interested in the way that the world works and the way that people works, and to finding out more about that. A student who is driven, who wants to do well, is looking to do what they can to perform at their best. A student who is intellectually curious as well. About a whole variety of disciplines, and students who are compassionate, right? As mentioned previously, our mission at the school is to empower young women to go out and to make a difference. And in order to make that positive difference in the world, really that difference maker needs to be rooted in a sense of compassion. And so curious, driven, intelligent, and compassionate would be, I think, the sort of student that's drawn to Havergal. This is a great question, because schools can't be all things. All schools can't be all things to all people. And so, one thing that I would certainly do and caution is if a student is really deeply invested in one particular area, particularly if as they enter kind of their high school years, and if they're looking at schools at that stage in their life. If they're really, really invested in, one particular area of expertise, it may be, something in athletics, it may be something in, the performing arts, it may be an academic sort of discipline that they're really, really deeply invested in, and that's what they want to be devoting the bulk of their time to, then I would say that Havergal probably isn't the right spot for them, because the huge benefit and what we really emphasize at the school is both the breadth and the depth of programming that allows. But the breadth is an important piece. We want to make sure that our students experience a whole host of academic and co-curricular experiences before they specialize. And some students know very early on in their life precisely what it is that they're doing, or have decided and made a conscious decision to really focus very deep and very specific on one thing. And I think that they just wouldn't get the same benefit out of the Havergal experience, and may feel actually pulled in multiple directions. It's really, Havergal is really an all-in experience if you want to get the most out of it. So it's not to say that you can't have a passion in a particular area, but if the decision for somebody looking at schools was that they're really focused on one particular pursuit, then I don't think they would get as much out of the Havergal experience, because we really do focus on that breadth, the breadth of experience that we want students to have. We really do view parents as partners, and I know lots of schools say that, but something that I really like to remind families and teachers of is that in that partnership, we both bring our areas of expertise. Parents know their kids. They are experts in their kids, and teachers are experts in teaching and learning and pedagogy. And it's actually in the combination of those two things that we work really, really well together. And of course, at the center of that expertise is the child and their experience here at the school. So when we combine, when we partner, when we bring the best knowledge of each of our areas of expertise to the benefit of the child, that's where those really powerful outcomes come. So keeping open communication, keeping focused on the child's experience. We're not always necessarily going to agree on the path, but as long as we keep that child's experience at the center, and bringing our expertise and really seeing ourselves as partners, it is a very, very powerful combination, and the combination is to the benefit of the student. If the school were a person, I would say curiosity, very curious about the world, about people, about the way that things work. I would say that the other personality trait is that that person would act with a high degree of integrity, and treat others with that sense of integrity as well. And then is courageous, right? Havergal was founded as as an institution, and the root of that founding, our founding principal, Alan Knox, used to challenge students with this very enduring question. And the question is, what will you do? And so taking the courage to think, what am I going to do with the various privileges that I've been given? What am I going to do with the access to this education that I've had? So someone who's also inclined to act as well, to think critically and to also act. So curious, someone who acts with integrity, and then someone who acts with courage would be the personality traits. We really also consider ourselves partners here in the community. I mean, we've been part of this community for 128 years. We're stewards of a beautiful 22 acres right in the heart of the city. We're accessible to the community, and so we really do see ourselves as part of the community. That's both in terms of the use of our space and on campus, how we expect our students to act and engage with the community, and act with the respect that the community certainly deserves. but also in what we do from a programming standpoint. And so we have a full community partnership program that's rooted in learning service, in which we're looking at ways that we can contribute back to the community that has given so much to us. And so that community partnership program is about giving back. It is about learning how to approach the world with a service lens and a service mindset and a servant leadership focus to it. So we, we're neighbors, and we try very hard to be good, respectful neighbors. And we certainly demand the same thing. But we're very, very proud to have this long history here in the community, and we take that history very seriously. A good school knows itself. They know what they are and what they are not, and they'll be open and transparent about that. I think that's really important as parents and students are making a decision about where they're going to spend their time. And in our case, some of those students spend 14 years here with us. And so, being able to know who they are and who they're not, and what the value is that they're providing, I think is really important. But a good school really is made up of really fantastic people. And so at the heart of a good school is the people in the building, and that's students, that's faculty and staff, and that certainly also includes our parent community as well. And at the heart of that community is people being able to say that they're known, that they're valued, and they're loved. And so one of the things that I would ask are, what is the investment in people at a school? And that combination of knowing and being transparent about who you are as a school, and that investment in the people in the building and ensuring that those people are known and valued and loved, is what I think makes a great school. This is a difficult question to answer, especially coming in new. Sometimes lots of issues that people want addressed and want fixing kind of come to the forefront. So I've got sort of two things that I think we as the leadership team here are focused on. And one of those is the balance between the breadth that comes with being a school of over 1,000 students, and making sure that we still have ways to connect as a community, especially coming out of COVID. So what we realized, I think, coming out of COVID, and certainly in the middle of COVID, is that yes, we offer an exceptional academic program, great facilities, wonderful opportunities, but it is the connection between people that really makes this place special. And so, as a school where we've got lots of students and lots of staff and lots of families, is making sure that as we come out of COVID, that we do as much as we can around building those community connections between students, between staff, between faculty, and between parents. And so as we looked to reopening our campus, going back to some programming, we've taken a really critical view. And the one main question that we're asking is, what sort of community connection does this event or this particular program offer? The second area is our accessibility from and the diversity that exists within our community, and making sure that those are valued. So that's socioeconomic diversity, religious, racial, ethnic diversity, and how do we make a Havergal experience as accessible to a really wide range of people? And so we're working on our strategy around diversity, equity, inclusion. We're working on accessibility through financial aid and access, and making sure that we build in a lot of community voice and a lot of community perspective into those plans. So I have two, I guess, a piece of advice that is two prongs. The first one is to listen, and the second one is to guide. And a lot of that depends on what stage in the journey that you and your child are at. And you're going to do lots of listening to either your child as they talk about what kind of experience that they want, but recognize that that may look very different for someone who's 3 or 4 than it certainly does if somebody who is 12 or 13. And I think that the older the student gets, the more listening to their voice and what experience that they want is crucial. At the same time, it is about guidance. It can be a lot of weight and a lot of pressure on a student, particularly at that age where they're starting to look at middle or high school. And they are looking for guidance. They are looking for, as a parent, you to ask those critical questions. And they also do need to be helped and guided with a future orientation. So sometimes at ages 12, 13, 14, we're very much focused, as young people, we're very much focused on their immediate experience, right? And so I may be leaving friends, or I may be leaving a place that I've kind of known and that's comfortable, and this looks different or doesn't, I'm not sure what it's going to be, and that sometimes can hold young people back. So it's both a combination of listening as well as guiding. And I think balancing those things, recognizing that balance shifts a little bit the older that students get, I think is also really important. But you want them to be somewhere where they are going to be comfortable, where they are excited to go to school, but also where they're going to be challenged, right? Where they're going to be challenged to try new things, to step outside of their comfort zone. So it really is that balance of listening and guiding.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.